Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I got Garrick King again. Big reveal today of the website. My website's live. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about a lot of fun stuff. Hey, brother.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So it was funny. I made a video where I said my website was going to be called pleasedebunkme.com. And then within the period of one day, someone picked up the domain. So someone was watching my video, heard that, bought the domain. But what they didn't know was that that wasn't actually the title of the channel. I just wanted to see if somebody would do that, and they did. So my website actually went live today, and it's debunkmywork.com.
Wow.
Right?
That is insane.
Yeah, that's top level hatery right there. I love it though. If you're not hating, you're not doing. If someone's not hating you, you're not doing your job. I'm sure you realize that.
Oh, I've gotten lots of haters. I just had to try to ignore them anymore. Sometimes, I fire back, but I need to learn to just stop and leave.
So I titled this episode Micah and Garrick King from the 1111 Matrix Code go balls deep yet again. So I want to go balls deep, Garrick. So how deep can these balls go today?
All the way. All the way. Yeah.
Knocking on the door. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So how do we start this? Where do you want to give us like a rundown of like if last time you were on was the last episode, do you want to like give us the snapshot of the last few minutes where you were at, and then we'll just continue from there?
Well, I briefly showed you just a quick slide in kind of the interview.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. Yeah. All right. We definitely did that. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just start. You want to share?
Sure. Yeah. Let me click.
Cool. So share it, and then I'll put it up. God, StreamYard is easy. You would think for all the kind of like deep esoteric stuff and all like the wild knowledge that I have that I love sharing with people, I am awful with computers. Like I can't edit a video. That's why I record it and then put it up immediately after.
Okay, here we go.
All right, here we go. We got it. All right, so we're getting that feedback.
Yeah, let me just minimize this window. Can you still see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Yeah, this is in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth.
I don't know why everything keeps coming back to Genesis 1:1. It's it's insane. It's like just when I think I'm kind of through and I'm past this point,
yeah,
something else shows up. So yeah, so let's just go ahead and jump in here. So we know
the interesting thing too about this. Genesis 1:1, although it's the beginning of the Bible, is not the oldest Bible story. The oldest Bible story is actually the 18th story in the Bible, the book of Job. That actually predates Genesis. And it was put together in this order. The books were put together in the specific order in the Old Testament. There's something called the Synod of Jamnia at 100 AD. So yes, even though Genesis talks about the beginning and it makes sense to start with Genesis, it's not the oldest book.
Wow.
So it is interesting, even at that level, that it goes back to it.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right. So what we're going to look at some crazy math. We're going to look at some crazy, I don't even want to use the word coincidences because they're just simply not. Who or what ever did this had such a incredible mindset that I just don't see how any human being could have put this together.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see what I'm talking about as we go along here. So let's just start right here at this first slide. So we know that Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the first letter of this word here, which is Elohim.
Elohim, yeah.
Now, it has the value of 86. And we know that Aleph is the beginning. It's the first letter.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the placement of each of the Alephs, and there's 6, you look at the placement, and then you take those numbers where they're placed. So this one's at position 26. This
So
one's
just
at
to let
position
people know who are
23.
listening, there's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Aleph is the first, Taf is the last one. They are numbered 1 through 22. So if you have two, like for example, the word chai means life, okay? And chai comes out to 18. And that is why most Orthodox and religious Jews give money in denominations of 18, like $18, $36, $54. They do that because chai is life. So it's a little gematria there. They also do that. You're supposed to carry money with you when you go on a plane. So they usually give that denomination as well, too. So I don't know if anybody out there knew that, but I just wanted to, my point was simply just that each one of these, in order, the Aleph is 1, the Bet is 2, the Gimel is 3. That's how it's basically broken down.
Correct. Yep. And so what we're actually looking at here is not the value of the letter, but the position. So where it falls in this verse.
Okay.
So again, we have one at position 26, one at 23, one at 15, one at 10, one at 9, and one at 3.
Right.
When you add those positions up, it equals 86, the same value as Elohim.
I also noticed that you did it from 26. You went from left to right, even though it actually goes from right to left.
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. But I just thought, wow, that's insane. That this is minor. This is minor in comparison to everything else that I'm going to show you here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next slide. There are 7 verses in total that have the value of 2701. 3 of them are in the Torah alone, so the first 5 books.
Mm-hmm.
So right there is a 3-7 connection.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you take 7, because there's 7 verses that have the value of 2701, you take 7 times 2701, you have 18,907.
Mm-hmm.
When you add the numbers that are separated by the comma, so 18 plus 907, we get 925, which is the value of Jesus Christ in English Standard Gematria.
Mm-hmm.
When we take each one of these verses
Mm-hmm.
and add them together, so we have 1, 1, so I did 1.1, then we have 814. So we do it like that,
Mm-hmm.
add them all up. So let me actually just say the verses for anyone who's listening and not watching. We have Genesis 1, 1, Genesis 8:14, Leviticus 20:27, 2 Samuel, and it's chapter 1, verse 18. We have 1 Kings, and it's chapter 18, verse 15. We have Micah 6:9, and Nahum 2:11.
Micah 6:9, huh?
Absolutely. So we take each one of those verses where they're located, we add them up, we get 47.85.
Mm-hmm.
And if we add those two numbers, 47 plus 85, we get 132, which is the value of Jehovah your God. Now, I want to point out that this number 132 first appears in the number pi at the 110th position. And 110 is the value of Jesus Christ in Hebrew ordinal.
What did you use to find the value of 2701? Surely you didn't go through the whole Bible.
The program itself, you can actually put in a number and it'll tell you what verses have that value.
That's what I wanted to hear. Okay.
Yeah, it was super simple. So just to show this, what you're actually looking at is 700 digits of pi, but it's 699. We're looking at everything past the point. So if we start with this 1 and we go to the 1 right here at 132, I'm just going to copy that. And I'm going to put it into a summation calculator. So it's going to total this for me. You can see that it starts at 110. That's the total number, or yeah, the total number of numbers that I selected. Its value or sum is 520, which just happens to be the value given to the word matrix and I am the light bringer.
Wow.
All right. Let's go on. So, okay. So I mentioned that there were 7 verses in total that have the value of 2701. 3 of them are in the Torah alone. So we have Genesis 1:1, Genesis 8:14, Leviticus 20:27. There's an 11 connection here. So Genesis alone is 1:1. You're looking at 11. Genesis 8:14. So 8 plus 14 is 22. How do you get 22? Well, it's 11 plus 11. Also, that verse it simply says, and in the 2nd month, on the 27th day of the month, was the earth dried. And when you look at that, the 2nd month is 2/27. That's 2 and 7. So 2 plus 2 plus 7 is 11. We could look at this another way too. We could look at it as 27 plus 2, which is 29, and 2 and 9 is 11. Then we have Leviticus 20:27. This one is a man or woman who is a medium or who is a wizard shall surely be put to death. They shall stone them with stones. Their blood shall be upon them. So when we look at Leviticus 20:27, well, we have 2 plus 2 plus 7. Again, we get 11. Moving on. So we know that these verses have the value of 2701. That's simply by taking the value of each word and adding them together. But what happens when we multiply those numbers? So with Genesis 1:1, when we multiply them, we get this huge ass number that is 304 quadrillion, 153 trillion, 525 billion, 784,175,760. When we take that number and take each number separated by a comma and add them together, so we'd have 304 plus 153 plus 525 plus 784 plus 175 plus 760, we get 2701.
Wow.
When we break those numbers down, we start reducing them. So 304 reduces to 7, 153 reduces to 9, 525 reduces to 12, 784 reduces to 19, 175 reduces to 13, and 760 reduces to 13. We add those together, we get 73. Reduce them down even more. So 7 stays the same, 9 stays the same. 12 becomes 1 plus 2, we get 3. 19 becomes 1 plus 9, we get 10. 13 reduces to 4, and 13 reduces to 4. Add those together, we get 37. So right here we have 3773. Number that came up many times before.
Right. Which, if you guys have been following this series, you know that comes up every time. Like 1111, 3773, 333. There's just certain numbers that just keep coming up.
Now, someone
have to add 2701 to that list now.
Yeah. Well, 2701 plus its mirror opposite 1072 is 3773. So someone left a comment on this video because I've already done a video on this, and they said, you can't get 10 because 1 and 9, it reduces to 1. Well, technically that's true, but what I'm doing is reducing these in steps.
Right.
So 1 plus 9 would be 10. And when I reduce this down even further, 7 stays the same, 9 stays the same. 1 and 2 becomes 3, 1 and 0 becomes 1, 1 and 3 becomes 4, and 1 and 3 becomes 4. We get 28, which is the number of letters in Genesis 1:1. Now, as we just mentioned, 2701 comes up a lot. Well, that's because 37 times 73 is 2701. And again, 2701 plus its mirror opposite is 3773. And 37 plus 73 is 110. So there's a connection right there back to Jesus Christ. Now, when we take each number, the value of each word in this verse, and we put them in sequential order. And what I mean by sequential order is taking all of the zeros and putting them at the front, and then going to all of the ones, all of the twos, the threes, the fours, the fives, the sixes, sevens, eights, and nines. We get this number that's 00, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 9. Add all those numbers up that are separated by the comma, and it equals 2701. Now take that number and multiply it times 2701. We get this other huge astronomically large letter. Do the exact same thing, add all of the numbers separated by the comma, and we're back to 2701. Genesis 1:1 is the only verse that does this. The only one.
Have you tested others?
I have tested others, and we're going to look at them.
Okay.
So the next verse has the value of 2701 as well, but when you take each value of each word and multiply it, we get this, again, another large number. This one is 49 quintillion, 799 quadrillion, 99 trillion, 805 billion, 131 million, 980,800. Do the exact same thing. Add the numbers separated by the commas, and we suddenly get 3663. Now, what's interesting about this is 3663 subtracting 3773, we get 110. Again, the value of Jesus Christ. Now, Jesus has the value of 37. Christ has the value of 73. But as you mentioned earlier, Hebrew is read from right to left.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're looking at these numbers, 37 comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another connection back to 3773.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wait, go back a sec.
Sure.
So where it says Jesus Christ, I'm looking at the Hebrew next to it, and that says Yeshua, which was his Hebrew name because the letter J wasn't invented until the year 1534 or 1524. I always get those confused because the Jesuits came around in either 1524 or 1534, and the letter J came after. Actually, yeah, that's what it was. The Jesuits came in 1524, and the letter J came in 1534. So when you're talking about Jewish names, you have Yaakov, Jonathan for Jonathan, Yeshua for Jesus. It's always with a Y.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Google will always give you the most modern translation. So it'll always put Jesus instead of Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's go to the next one. Leviticus 20:27. So it again has the value of 2701, but when we take all of the numbers, the value of each word, and multiply them, we get, I've never even heard of this number in my entire life. It's 1,402 octillion, 440 septillion, 677 sextillion, 677 quintillion, 675 quadrillion, 145 trillion, 889 billion, 42 million, and 48,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, add all those up, and something suddenly happens. So the first verse, we got 3773. The second verse, we got 3663. Both numbers are palindromes.
Mm-hmm.
This suddenly breaks that sequence because the number we get is 3996.
Mm-hmm.
So it being the larger number, let's subtract 3773 from it, and we get the number 223,
Mm-hmm.
which is, in Hebrew, it means will come. So when we add 223 to 110, which is Jesus Christ, we get the number 333 and the phrase Jesus Christ will come.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
333 is another one of those numbers that keeps showing up.
Yeah, 333, 3773, 1111. I mean, you guys have been following this series. I don't even number them anymore. I just kind of like come up with like weird titles for our thing. This is like the 9th or 9th time you come on. This is, and it's always the same numbers, guys. It's always the same numbers.
Yep. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Jesus Christ in English Gematria has the value of 925, which is 37 times 25.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you can build a perfect grid here of 37 5 times going across and down.
Mm-hmm.
And right in the center, take all the 37s in the center going vertically and horizontal, add them up, and we have 3, 3, 3. And it gives us a perfect cross. We can also get a pyramid or a triangle pointing up, the same value of 3, 3, 3, and 1 pointing down. It seems to represent as above,
so below, right?
Now, this is where it's going to get fun.
All right. That wasn't fun before.
This is where it just starts. When you start to look at this and you start to see how these numbers show up in prime numbers, in pi, in phi, in Fibonacci.
I told you last time to look into phi, and you said you would.
Yeah. So you begin to realize that whoever did this, and this is why I say that no man could do this, because you have to stop and think that for a man to do it, like they would have to sit here and say, okay, I need to write out this verse and it needs to have this value. And it needs, the numbers within this verse need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If they were trying to make this happen, I just don't see how a human being could have the mindset to put something together like this. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we go on. So in Hebrew, the word wisdom has the value of 37 in Gematria ordinal, but it's 73 in standard. So the word wisdom literally gives us 3773, as does Jesus and Christ. Now, there are, as you said, 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Most people don't know that there are 5 additional letters. These letters they change shape when they appear at the end of a word. They're still the same letter. It's just the shape of the letter changes and its value changes. When you put them together, so all of the ones, and what I mean by that is we know Aleph has the value of 1, Yud has the value of 10, and I forgot what this one is called.
Kuf.
Kuf?
Kuf, yeah.
Okay, so it has a value of 100. So 100 plus 10 is 110, and then Aleph, that 1, it makes the number 111. So they're all in sequence. So all the 1s, all the 2s, all the 3s, all the way down to 999.
Mm-hmm.
So 111, you can get 111 by going 37 times 3 times 1. 222, 37 times 3 times 2. You can see how this is going in sequential order.
Yes.
And 333, 37 times 3 times 3. It just keeps going. When you look at these numbers, 111, 222, 333, all the way down to 999, and you look at prime numbers. So the 111th prime number is 607. The 222nd prime number is 1,399. The 333rd prime number is 2,239. The 444th prime is 3,119. 555th prime, 4,019. The 666th prime is 4,973. The 777th prime is 5,903. 888th prime is 6,907. And the 999th prime is 7,907. You total all those up, and what do we get? 37,073. Reduce these numbers down to their root number. We get 4. So 607 reduces to 4. 1399 reduces to 4.
Wait, hold on a second. 607 would turn into 13, and then you add the 1 and the 3. That's 4. That's how you do it, guys.
Correct. Yes. So that's getting it down to its root number, the lowest that it can go.
Mm-hmm.
So
and just so that we're clear, you're not reducing 11s or 22s, are you?
No.
Okay. Those are known as master numbers, guys. You don't reduce them.
So adding all those together, it sums 47. And again, 4 and 7 is 11. So there is 11 in connection there. But what I found most interesting was this 37073.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to Genesis 1:1, let's look at the numbers for the value of each word. So the very first word has the value of 913. The 913th prime is 7,127. The next word has a value of 203. The 203rd prime is 1,237. Then Elohim is 86. The 86th prime is 443. Then we have that word in the middle that doesn't seem to have a meaning at all, but it's made up of Aleph and Tav, which is the beginning and the end of the Hebrew alphabet.
Mm-hmm.
We get 2,449. So 401 is, or sorry, the 401st prime is 2,749. And then we have the heavens, which is 395. The 395th prime is 2,711. And then we have the next word, it's 407. The 407th prime is 2,797. And the last word, it has a value of 296. And the 296th prime is 1,949. Sorry, I'm throwing all these numbers out, but I have to do it for this to make sense. So we add all these up, we get 19,013. 19,013 is the 2,161st prime number. Take that number, add its mirror opposite, and we have 3773. Also want to point out that Yahweh has the value of 26 in standard and ordinal, which is interesting. Multiply 26 times 62, we get 1612, the same number we just saw up here, plus its mirror opposite. And again, we have 3773. Now, this is encoded in prime numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's look at Yahweh's relation to pi. So 111 first appears in pi at the 153rd digit. 222 appears in pi at the 1,735th digit. 333 first appears in pi at the 1,698th digit. 444 appears in pi at the 2,707th digit. 555 first appears in pi at the 177th digit. 666 first appears in pi at the 2,440th digit. 777 first appears in pi at the 1,589th digit. 888 appears at 4,751st digit. And lastly, 999 first appears in pi at the 762nd digit. Add all of those numbers up, and we get 16,012. 16,012 plus its mirror opposite of 21,061 is 37,073. The only difference between these numbers is the 0 in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Yahweh, value of 26. 26 times 62, 1612 plus 2161, its mirror opposite is 3773. You can see the close relationship of these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting is if we take 37,073 and subtract 3,773, we get 33,300. And again, add the numbers separated by the comma. 33 plus 300 becomes 333.
Wow.
Keeps coming back again and again. Okay. The word Torah in Gematria has the value of 611. So, what do you think the chances are that the first 611 numbers after the decimal point of pi would have the value of 2701?
You're going to show me right now.
Yep. Total numbers, 611. The sum of those numbers, 2701. What are the chances?
This is nuts.
Now, here's what's interesting. The very first word of Genesis 1:1, when you take every letter that precedes the letter that's in that word, so it starts with bet. So the letter that precedes it is Aleph. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when you take each letter that precedes these letters, it also, the value is 611. The same value as Torah.
I see here that the Aleph reduces to an Aleph because it's the first one. You're not going to go
First one. Yeah, there's nothing that precedes it.
Okay. Yeah, this checks out. I just did the alphabet in my head. This checks out.
Yep.
Amazing.
So the word Torah, when reduced, has the value of 17. What are the chances that the first 17 digits of pi, when totaled, it's in here. So you can see its total number is 17 and the sum is 82.
Mm-hmm.
82 is what 2701 would be, or the verse Genesis 1:1, when you reduce the numbers down. So 296 reduces to 17, 407 to 11, 395 to 17, 401 to 5, 86 to 14, 203 reduces to 5, and 913 reduces to 13.
You know, I say this to people all the time. I say, just because you're not supposed to take the Bible literally. You're not supposed to take it literally. The Hebrew alphabet, the Hebrew language, is a mystical code.
Yes, it is.
That's what it is. And it's been studied. And if you dive into the Kabbalah, or the two major texts that talk about the Kabbalah, they get into that a little bit. Nothing like this, though. Nothing like my work or your work. But it's not a language. It's a code. It's what it is. And it's basically, if you think about it, and I talk about this too, the proper way to read the Bible is not with lines and breaks and everything. The proper way to read the Bible is one long strand of letters with no breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Within it is every single name of every person that will ever be born, ever has been born, and ever will be born, that you can find in equidistant skip patterns.
That's right.
It's amazing. This is why the Old Testament has lasted this long, because there's people that know this stuff and make sure that it's out there, but they want to keep you stupid and make you follow the book literally. I mean, the biggest injustice you can do is follow the Old Testament or the New Testament literally.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting about this, so we know it reduces to 82, but what happens when we reduce those numbers down even more? So 1 and 7 reduces to 8, 11 reduces to 2, 17 reduces to 8, 5 stays the same, 14 becomes 5, 5 stays the same, 13 reduces to 4. You add those up,
37.
And we get 37.
Wow.
Now, I do want to point out, that again, with the 1111 matrix code, those numbers that are generated go up and down by the number 37.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so we know that the first 611 digits, which is the value of the word Torah,
mm-hmm.
has the value of 2701.
Mm-hmm.
And Torah, when reduced, has the value of 17. So the 17 digits, the first 17 digits. But what about the next 17 digits after the 611?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's throw that in here. And lo and behold, it sums to 82 as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Now, remember we talked about dimensions And I talked about the zero dimension, and a lot of people believe that zero dimension is the starting point because literally the zero dimension would be nothing more than a point. It has no height, no length, no width. It's just a simple point.
Correct. Yeah.
In Hebrew, the word point has the value of 165. And when reduced, it has the value of 21. Now, we know that 111 first appears in pi at the 153rd digit. That's why I have it highlighted here.
You know what's interesting too?
What's that?
153. Jesus is walking alongside the beach, right? And this is after the resurrection. And he sees the fishermen, he sees his disciples fishing, and they can't catch shit because their water's in Aquarius, the water. So he says, throw it to the other side, throw your net to the other side. So he throws it to Pisces. Pisces is the fish, so he catches all these fish. They drag the fish to land. There's 153 fish in it, and they make sure to tell you that there's 153 fish. And here's the interesting thing, too. When it comes to the 153 fish, you know the Jesus fish that you see?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever taken two circles and intersected it and saw the Vesica Pisces?
Oh, is it at an angle of 153?
The denominator is. It's 253. No. 247 over 153 is the angle of the Vesica Pisces, the Jesus fish.
Wow.
It all ties in.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, so we know that 111 first appears at the 153rd digit. So this number right here is the 153rd digit. So if we simply go 153, 154, 155, 156, 157, 158, 159, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 165, we land on this number 2. And look what number we have. It's 20. Oh, crap.
You had it. 2701.
2701.
Wow.
The starting point. Now, what's interesting is 2 is at the 165th digit. 7 is at the 166th digit. 0 is at the 167th digit. And 1 is at the 168th digit. So take 165 plus 166 plus 167 plus 168, and it totals 666. 666 times 2701 is 1,798,866. Add all those letters up, separated by the comma, and we get 1,665. Do the same thing. 1 plus 665 is 666. Now, let's see. Middle point of, oh yeah, so the middle point of 165, the number 165, its middle point would be the number 83. That means you'd have 82 numbers before it, 82 numbers after it. The middle point is the number 83. The middle point of 21, which is what 165 reduces to, would be 11.
Mm-hmm.
11 times 83 is 913, the value of the very first word of Genesis.
Very cheap. Yeah, that's very cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, do you see the the craziness in this? The math, how it's structured, how these numbers are appearing in pi?
The Hebrew language is a code.
It is a code. Absolutely. Now, I just threw this in for fun, but 666, we mostly know it as the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Nero Caesar in Hebrew has the value of 666. The great beast in Greek also has the value of 666.
Mm-hmm.
When you subtract 666 from 913, we get 247, which is the value of the word Rome in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. All right.
A lot of
So
people talk about the 666. A lot of people in the religious community, at least, would sit there and think that's the mark of the beast. That's an implant in your arm or something.
yeah,
It's not.
no,
666 is the mark of man, and the mark of man is carbon because we're all carbon based. That's
correct.
6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. However, what you're showing here is something a little bit different here too. They say 666 is the total amount. You're right, it adds up to Nero because they some say that Nero was the one that they were during the time of Christ, or that Christ was supposedly around in the story. I say it's a story because it's a story. Nero was considered evil. He was like, they just hated him, so they attributed that number to him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on with that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was considered like a tyrant. If I'm not mistaken, didn't he commit suicide?
I can't remember. I don't.
Yeah, I believe he did. I believe that just all of the hatred from people just got the better of him and he took his own life, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm.
Okay. So this next slide here, this is what is known as the 73rd triangle. And it's made up of 2,701 dots. We get 4 individual triangles. 3 have the value of 666, and the middle one, which is pointed downwards, has the value of 703.
Mm-hmm.
So when you take 666 times 3, we get 1998 plus that 703 in the center, and it gives us the 2701.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's interesting about 1998 is when you add its mirror opposite, we get 10,989.
Mm-hmm.
Do the same thing we've been doing. Add the number separated by the commas. So 10 plus 989 is 999. A flip of 666.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this number 703 is going to come up here again in just a moment. So when you take the first verse again of Genesis 1:1, it too will make a perfect pyramid. 28 letters, 7 words, 1 verse. There are only actually 11 actual letters that are being used. The rest are repeats. So as we saw earlier, there were 6 alepphs. There's 2 bets, 3 resh, 3 tav, 3 hey, and so on. The outer letters total.
So number 9, Sadi. It's actually Sadiq. You got to put a K at the end of that, just in case you're going to show this out again.
Oh, okay. There we go.
I don't mean to correct you. I just want your stuff to be okay.
Yeah, you're perfectly fine. All right. So when we take all the letters that make up the perimeter of this triangle verse, we get 2080, which is the equivalent of 80 times 26. The yellow portion here has a value of 611, which is the value of Torah.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yud here in the center has the value of 10, which you can get to by taking 3 plus 7.
Mm-hmm.
So this letter here, which I believe, is it pay? Is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, pay.
Okay. So it has the value of 80, as we see right here.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh has the value of 26, as we see right here. And the word breath has a value of 37. This seems to be giving us this encoded message that God literally spoke creation into existence.
Sounds about right. That's true.
Yep.
When you get down into the real metaphysics of it, you talk about white light undividing from itself to separate. And that's the beginning of it all.
Absolutely. Okay. So this is interesting as well. When you take all of the numbers 1 through 73 and you add them together, we get 2701.
Mm-hmm.
If we sum all of the numbers 1 through 37, we get 703, that number I just mentioned a moment ago, which just so happens to be the total of this bottom foundation line of this pyramid made from this verse. Now, in Genesis 1:1, we know that that middle word that's made up of Aleph and Tav, the beginning and the end, has a value of 401.
The Alpha and the Omega is what it is.
Yes. So when we look at the number phi, okay, and we look at the 37 digits after the decimal, and we compare those numbers to Fibonacci numbers, okay? So the first digit after the decimal is 6, and it goes 618033988 and so on. We compare those to the Fibonacci numbers. So 6, the sixth Fibonacci number is 8. The first Fibonacci number is 1. The eighth Fibonacci number is 21. If we keep comparing 37 digits of phi after the decimal to the Fibonacci sequence numbers and add them up, we get 401. The beginning and the end.
It's always with that damn 37 and the 73.
Now, the sum or the total, if we take each one of these 37 digits and add them together, it gives us the total of 194, which in Greek is the value in Gematria of the design. The design. This is all by design. All right. Now, lastly, this was just me kind of playing around. So we know that 333 was the number that started it all for me, and then I started seeing 1111. So I was just looking at the math and looking at the structure of these numbers, and I put them into this sequence, and I thought, well, that's interesting. It forms a cross. 11 at the top, 11 below, 333 in the center. Also seems to represent as above, so below. But when you play around with the math, so take 11 times 333, and we get 3663. Well, that's interesting because that was the value that we got of the second verse. Okay, so then we take 3663 times 11, and we get 40,293. We'll do the same thing that we did before. Add the numbers separated by the commas. 40 plus 293 is 333. So if we take 11 plus 11, we get 22. And 22 times 333 will give us 7,300.
Wait, you put 40 times 293. You should change that to 40 plus.
Oh, you're right. Good call.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, so 11 plus 11 equals 22. 22 times 333 will give us 7,326. And again, do the same thing. Add the number separated by the comma. 7 plus 326 is 333. And then lastly, 11 times 11 is 121. 121 times 333 is 40,293. Do the same thing. Add the number separated by the comma. 40 plus 293, and we're back to 333. Keeps coming back to the same number every time.
Have you ever tried doing something with all the numbers that keep coming up? 37, 73, 333, 1111. Have you played with those numbers by themselves yet? Like all together?
No, actually I haven't, but that's a good idea. I should do that and see what comes out of it. Yeah, definitely. Now, here's something interesting, and I just got the idea to start doing this when I realized that these numbers and where they appear, their position in pi and prime numbers. I started taking the numbers from the 1111 matrix code. So we know that the first number that was generated was 371074. There's a website that you can go to, and it's find any number in pi. So you can put in any number and it'll tell you where it's located. I've done the first 25 numbers so far, and every single one of them appears in the number pi in like the exact sequence. So 37 or 371074, in that exact sequence, it appears in pi.
Wow.
The next number, 741037, it appears in pi in that exact sequence.
Have you ever tried taking pi and phi and combining them somehow and finding stuff there?
I haven't, but again, this is all sort of new to me, jumping into these, like phi and Fibonacci, and
yeah, these are not rational numbers. These don't exist. They're not from this dimension.
no.
They're not. They're not. Those two numbers are not from this dimension. People have to understand that.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then just to demonstrate, lastly, these are the other 4 verses that have the value of 2701. And as I said, I've played around with multiplying them, trying to bring them back to either a palindrome sort of number or something that relates to the 2701 like the other verses do, or 3773, and it just does not work. So 2 Samuel 118, it has a value of 2701, but when you multiply them again, you get this astronomically large number. Add up the number separated by the comma, and we get 2385. Reducing it down, we get 72, and then it further reduces to 27.
Mm-hmm.
The next verse is 1 Kings 8:15. Again, has a value of 2701. We do that same sequence. We get the number 3627. It reduces to 117. These numbers don't seem to match up with what we were getting before.
Right.
Micah 6:9 has the value of 2701.
I don't think I'll ever get tired of you saying that.
69. So same sequence. We get 4,394. Reduced down, we get 119. And then the last one, again, value of 2701, do the same sequence. We get 40,050. And that one reduces down to 117. So again, it's just like the ones that are outside of the Torah don't behave the way the ones inside the Torah. The ones that are supposed to be the ones that the whole thing was dictated to Moses by God.
When you're talking about the Torah, when the Torah is actually quite long. What you're talking about is the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books.
Correct.
It's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. Those are the first 5 books of the Old Testament. And that's what you're talking about.
Right. And they're known as the books of Moses, correct?
Yeah, Moses apparently wrote all this.
Correct. And that's why I'm saying when you look at these numbers, so we're looking at these verses outside of that, out of the first 5, and they're scattered. They're all over the place like this. Why is it just the verses inside those first 5 books that have this strange mathematical anomaly?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. So that's it, man. That's where I'm at so far, and that's what I've uncovered. And
are you going to try and do the 2 suggestions I just gave you? Because I feel like we talk about things, and then I end up sending you on a direction, on like a journey or a quest after we get off, and then you end up finding stuff there, and then I give you something new the next time. So
yeah,
hopefully you will be able to, with what I sent you, with what I just gave you. This is great stuff, man. It just shows that this is a code that is so multi-layered that this is not 4D chess. This is like 11 dimension stuff.
Yes.
This is top down. You cannot make this many connections.
No. It is such a deeply embedded code that I see how I don't see. I just don't see how a human being could have the mindset to say, okay, well, this number is this position in pi, and I'm going to put a story together, and it needs to have this value, and have it make this mathematical connection the way that it does.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
Wow, man, this is some good stuff. So let me see here a second. Wow. Okay, so you've already recorded this on your channel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do me a favor, because people love you. Just tell everyone where they could find you.
On YouTube, my channel is the 1111 Matrix Code. And on Instagram, I have two. The first one is I.T.C.C_photography. And the other one is 1111_matrix_code. And if anyone wants to get a hold of me, the best way to do it is to direct message me through Instagram.
Beautiful. Garrick, thank you for coming on and enlightening us. I'm going to have this up right away. Thank
Cool.
you, my friend. It's always great talking to you. I'll be texting you. We'll touch base and we'll see where we're going from here.
Awesome. And yes, I will definitely take your suggestions and run with them and see what I can come up with.
What I usually do at the end of every episode, I'm like, you should try this. And then you do. You should get this software. You should look into Fee. You should look into Pi. You know?
And I've done everything that you've suggested. So
it's working.
It's working.
So that's fantastic. All right, Garrick, man, I will talk to you soon. Thank you for coming on again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Take care.